And welcome back to Elon News Network special coverage of Election Night 2020. I'm Brian Ray, glad to be back with you. And our John Sarver has been following the North Carolina State House race. And as we told you last hour, Ricky Hurtado has won that seat for District 63. That begins right next to Elon, includes Graham, and stops at the border of Mebane. Now, this is a big win for Ricky Hurtado. He was running against Republican incumbent Stephen Ross. Stephen Ross was first elected in 2012, and like I said, John Sarver's been following that race and spoke to Hurtado after his win. Here's what he had to say.
The results came in. It was a tight race, but you came out over 500 votes ahead. Can you just give me your initial reactions of when you found out that the results were in and all the precincts reported and you were in the lead?
Yeah, I mean, we are excited about the strong results we've seen tonight in Alamance County in District 63. At the end of tonight, on election night, I am up by several hundred points, but as we know, this race is still not over, still too close to call. We understand that there's still votes out there, and we want to make sure that this process and democracy plays out and that every vote is counted.
And you'll if the votes are certified, you'll be the first Latino member to the North Carolina General Assembly. Can you just give me your thoughts on what it's going to be like to take on that role?
Yeah, I mean, as the message has been throughout my campaign, it's really been about bringing this community together, and I truly believe that it means recognizing that diversity is our strength and not our weakness. And so I'm excited to provide a new perspective in a growing electorate, a growing diverse community, and making sure that we're doing everything to represent everyone in our community.
And I was in there a few minutes ago when the news broke and you were addressing everybody at the event, and the message was celebratory, but it was it's not over yet. We gotta go back and count these votes and make sure it's all certified. So for you personally and for your campaign, what is physically the next step in just making sure that the election's certified?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly waiting to make sure that every provisional ballot and final mail-in ballots are counted. We know that folks can still have their votes counted for a few more days here in North Carolina, and we're not celebrating or doing anything prematurely. We're making sure that everyone's voice is heard, because that's the most important part for us as a campaign.
Okay, and is there anything else that you'd like to add in regards to your campaign and just kind of because we talked a little bit earlier about what it's been like to run this campaign, and now that you know that you have this lead after election night's over, just kind of reflect on it maybe one more time for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the vote count, you see that over 20,000 people have said that they want to see Alamance County, North Carolina, move forward in a different direction. And so I think that's a overwhelming sort of voice to really listen to make sure that we are serving the needs of everyone in our community. So I'm excited to be a part of that conversation, be a part of that vision to move us all forward in North Carolina.
Awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me tonight. Absolutely. And good luck moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Now going to turn things over to Baylor Rodman, who's closely following those national races. Baylor, how are things looking right now?
Brian, good to see you again, and I should say good morning. Good morning to you. It is now officially 12 a.m. Eastern. We have moved into November the 4th, and we still are not at 270 yet. I will say a lot of things very, very, very close. Let's start with places where Trump is certainly leading right now for sure, and again, we are awaiting to call these results most likely for Trump, and that's Florida first. With its 29 electoral votes, most likely going to go to President Trump, as again, these numbers really haven't changed at all since we're about 98% of the precincts reporting. But again, we want to make sure that we are right, and so we're going to wait to officially call that. But again, looks like President Trump will probably take this sunshine state of Florida. Let's also move down over to Texas, where this has been a state I know Democrats have been trying very hard, and it seems like in the last few days in the final push that Democrats had a lot of momentum in this state, and they definitely did. I mean, I don't know that we've seen numbers so tight, especially as first early voting numbers were coming in for sure, but it does look like President Trump will probably take the Lone Star state of Texas with the 52% of the vote to Joe Biden's 46.6. Again, about only those 78% of the precincts are reporting, so we're still waiting to call that one. Let's move over also to Georgia, where it looks like the president is ahead. Again, another place where Democrats really pushing to try and take this state over. And again, we haven't really seen margins like this in a while. But again, as of now, the president is in the lead there. And I'll move to Ohio lastly, where it looks like the president is still in the lead to get those 18 electoral votes. No Republican has won the presidency without the state of Ohio, and only 2 presidents have lost the state of Ohio and still gone on to win the Electoral College. Last time in modern history was John F. Kennedy. Some fun trivia for you. All right, but let's move now into Arizona, where certainly Joe Biden is outperforming Hillary Clinton by far, and Republicans for a long time as well. And again, we expect to be able to call this race for Joe Biden any minute now. But again, he's up there with 74% of the precincts reporting at this hour, with 53.5% of the vote to Donald Trump's 45.2. Also, Mark Kelly, the Democrat, is over incumbent Senator Martha McSally at this point as well. Again, that would be a must need for Democrats to try and take the majority. Depending on how things shake out, Republicans could lose that seat and still clench on. But again, then we'd have to look to things like Maine and Susan Collins and her holding her seat. And so we'll get into that a little bit later as we start to know a little bit more of the results. But that's where they stand. We haven't been able to change any of our electoral count numbers. So we're still leading currently Joe Biden in the lead with 209, with Donald Trump's 118. But again, I'd say maybe within the next hour we'd be able to tighten that. I quickly just want to go to North Carolina only to point out that the numbers in the last hour have not changed. President Trump is still in the lead with 50.1% of the vote to Joe Biden 48.7. So the last hour at the 11 o'clock hour, this is where the number stood, and the precincts reporting still 94%. Again, what this could mean is maybe there are other unseen absentee ballots that were registered, that were received to recipients, and maybe they haven't been mailed in yet. Again, as long as they were postmarked by today, they could be accepted by November the 12th. And so this is my point of, this may be all we have for tonight. We may not get any further than this, Brian.
Thank you, Baylor. And still to come tonight, a look at the U.S. Senate race where Cal Cunningham and Thom Tillis look to be neck and neck right now. Don't go anywhere.
I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
Thanks for sticking with us. What you see right now is the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., where he may be making an appearance tonight. You can see the police sirens right in front of that hotel there. Now we're going to turn things nationally to the U.S. Senate race here in North Carolina. Republican incumbent Thom Tillis is holding a victory party right now, but the State Board of Elections is still counting votes. I have the website up right here next to me. They're still waiting to count in one precinct, but only 75% of the ballots cast have been counted right now. So we're going to head on over to Maeve Ashbrook, who's going to tell us more about this Senate race. Maeve?
Yeah, Brian, and one thing we really haven't touched on tonight is that this campaign for both Tillis and Cunningham was really pretty riddled with controversy. I want to start with Tom Tillis. In early October, he attended that Supreme Court nomination of now Justice Amy Coney Barrett in the Rose Garden. While he was pictured wearing a mask outside, later on he was diagnosed with the coronavirus. There have been pictures saying that he was not wearing a mask inside. One of the few wearing one outside. Tom Tillis overall says that he thinks North Carolina is in a good place as far as reopening and the COVID-19 pandemic, but he does say also that nationally the response has been good from President Donald Trump.
In a crisis, you don't go for perfect. You go for good steps in the right direction. And if Cal were listening to the people in North Carolina, he would know to a person they would want him to vote yes on what I voted yes for last week.
And both Cal Cunningham and Tom Tillis say that they support another round of stimulus going out to the American people because of the pandemic. But to get to the controversy, as far as Cunningham, a series of text screenshots came out suggesting that he might have been engaging in an extramarital relationship. Those texts have been labeled as sexting, one saying, quote, that he was calling a woman, quote, historically sexy. So those have been labeled as sex. Again, Cal Cunningham, like I said, supports another round of stimulus and again says that North Carolina is in a good place as far as reopening. He does want to, if elected, continue widespread testing and make sure that personal protective equipment can get out to everyone. Nationally, though, he thinks that it hasn't been such a good response.
We are seeing and experiencing an unprecedented failure of leadership in this country. And we have tens of thousands of Americans who have lost their lives, often without being able to be with their loved ones in their final hours.
Yeah, and like you said, Brian, this race is still that we're still counting ballots, so it might be a little too close to call still. Tillis is, though, claiming victory in a speech, so we'll see what happens with that. Brian, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Maeve. We're now going to head over to Isabella Seaman. She's live in our newsroom with an update on some local results for us. Isabella, what's new?
Absolutely. So, Brian, let's talk about why the precincts were in so fast today. So, I was at the Board of Elections, and I know each precinct, 38 precincts has a precinct judge. Now they just have to bring a computer chip to the Board of Elections. Once it gets to the Board of Elections, it gets put into a computer, which computes all of the results super quickly. Now, this has been interesting because when I was there on Super Tuesday, we were there waiting for results way later. Now, this could be because of the record-breaking numbers for early voting, but also due to the coronavirus pandemic. People were socially distanced. Things were trained very well. This is maybe a reason why that things ran very smoothly today. Brian?
Isabella, thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in for this update. And we're still following those results for the U.S. Senate race here in North Carolina and across the country. We're right there with you waiting for these results. And once we have them, we will bring them to you.